Okay, a few little tools of the trade. So if you want to measure, kill two birds with one stone here. We'll measure yield, but we're also going to do some scissors cutting and sending these forage analysis into the lab to measure nutrient content. So ideally we should randomly throw the square, but in this case we're going to have it here. It's a square foot, okay? And so when we're measuring clovers here, because we could be doing this every cutting, we could be doing this 3-4 times a year. When I clip, I want to clip 6 inches from the ground. Why is that? Because I also tell you that we shouldn't clip more than, it should be at least 6 inches from the ground when you clip. Not any lower than that, right? So if it's in June, 6 inches from the ground, July, whenever we do it, instead of clipping exactly to the bottom, you know, we clip 6 inches from the ground. And usually a good time to do this is, let's just say we're going to do this after every clipping. I'd be coming out here about a week before you're going to clip it again. And we're out here in September and you're not going to clip it again as per my recommendation. But if I come out here, you know, each time and I clip 6 inches from the ground and put all the contents in there, we can weigh that, right? And what I would do for repetition is I'd do this like probably 10 different spots out here, right? We did it there. I randomly throw it out here. I come out here and I'll clip this again, fill the bag, we weigh it. That gives us our wet yield. But again, then what we want to do is we want to dry this down in the white microwave, or if we send it to the lab, which is what I'm going to actually do with this analysis, the lab will actually have the total amount of dry matter there. My guesstimate is this is going to be about, let's see if I'm a good guesser. This is going to be about 87% moisture. And then we're going to also analyze for the protein content, the calcium content, the phosphorus content, magnesium, potassium, sugars, energy, fats, things like that. So what is that going to tell us? Well, in this case, like if we were doing this, like each clipping, we're going to measure our overall yield. So again, what we would do is if we really wanted this to be scientific, we could have exclusion cages out here in some spots. And then we just, instead of having to throw the square down, well, we still put the square down because ideally the cage, we like it to be a little bigger. But then again, you know, there's no grazing pressure at all out there, right? And you know, we'd have the exclusion cage, we put the square down and then we'd, you know, clip 6 inches from the ground, measure the content, weigh it, and we'd actually be getting what nutrients were grown. It could help us with our fertilizer recommendations moving forward. And again, I do this so many times a year on my research properties because how do I know how to recommend fertilizers if guys on a dry program? By knowing what you're selling. If you don't know how it yields, you don't know how it grows, you don't know what's inside the plants, then how on earth can you know how to fertilize it? I challenge that to people all the time. I ask those questions, and again, we're in a world in the wildlife industry where people just want to sell a bag or a name, but that doesn't lead to long-term sustainability. My question to you is, you want this to look good, or do you want this to be a great overall nutrition plot? Do you want look good? Or are you trying to grow big deer? And I know in your case as Briggs Outfitters, he's trying to grow as big a deer as he can. So what is your goal with plots like this?
I want big deer.
You want big deer.
Every time.
So it matters knowing what's here and what groceries to put over all your fields, right? Okay, so just a few little tidbits. Using a square, that's actually a square foot. Everybody can build this herself. As I've said before, we could make that 3 foot by 3 foot. We could make that 18 inches by 18 inches. Doesn't matter, it's just that there's 43,560 square feet per, per acre there. And when we measure the weight on that square foot, we times it by 43,560, we know what our yield was standing out here in the field at, I use this term, effective grazing height. That's what 6 inches is because that's where we don't want to clip below it. But if you watch the deer on your properties,
they don't go much lower.
I mean, these deer are not grazing it to the ground unless they're starving. There's not, unless this is the only thing
you might see that, but not right now.
Right. So that's why, and they basically take the tops off, the leaves off. They're selective browsers. So again, there's a couple reasons for measuring at 6 inches from the ground, if that makes sense.
Yep, makes total sense.
Okay, wonderful day out here in early August and doing a little bit of plot scouting, education for the masses. and even help and educate you a little bit.
Always. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. We're gonna send this to the lab or not?
Just enough that it's like, you know what? If you put your finger down there, it's as close as it could be. Okay, we're gonna do a couple more spots. In this case, I'm not measuring yield, we're just getting a good representative sample.
It smells good.
Well, what do you think your guess is on protein on this stuff?
I wouldn't have a clue.
This is going to be 32% protein, I bet.
Where do you want it
Could
at?
be as low as, I mean, anything over 20 is good.
Is it?
This could be as low as 28, but I think it's going to be 32%.
Remember that, folks. The results will be in the, where are we going to put them at, Zach?
Put 'em in the comments.
Yep. Yeah, results will be in the comments below.
Okay, one more and then I think we're good.
Yeah, this bag's going to be full.
But it dries down. It won't look like a lot once you
No.
get it. As you know, when you're sampling for the farm at the haylage,
Yep.
you're filling up one of those manila envelopes that are like the same size that you got the
Yep.
soil samples. We got more quality because this isn't, 50% moisture, 60, 70, so Gil, when this dries down, you're hardly seeing anything here.
Yeah.
So. Okay,
Shove that
we're
down.
good.